rotting driftwood on the foreign shores, spilling out into the ocean floor, and the memories all you've left without a trace. Paralyzed with the thoughts receding, current sweeps you with the silent bleeding through the heart into the darkest place. Well, turn around, there's nothing to see here. Run away, no reason to be here. It's the ghost who never goes away. Turn around and leave this behind now. You see the ground as it bleeds in the sky now. You fight the sea, you're always gonna drown. All the secrets that you're holding, all the memories you hide, all the frail thoughts that echo in the corners of your mind, they won't even last a moment. They will soon be swept away when the ocean takes you in its arms and carries you away. You carry all your burdens on the cross around your neck. You take whatever's left that you could salvage from the wreck, and the hard past will follow you like a lost dog on the beach, nipping at your trail till you've drifted out of reach. Yeah, turn around, there's nothing to see here. Run away, no reason to be here. It's the ghost who never goes away. Turn around and leave this behind now. See the ground as it bleeds to the sky now. You fight the sea, you're always gonna drown. In the broken line horizon, in the castles made of sand, you tried to hold it in your hands, you tried to understand it. The ocean asks the questions, and it holds the answers too. It dissolves away the lies about the things you thought you knew.
Aha, there we are. Ooh. Well, there's my doctor prescribed government mandatory or government mandated scuff right off the bat, where my microphone had decided to suddenly turn itself down all the way to barely anything. Okay, so hello, my friends. 'Tis I, Dame Armiger Calirania. My heart and my sword are yours. And 'tis I, Adulath Karakai II, bastard son of a real bastard. Your hearts are mine. And as we are every Sunday morning for a while, we are joined by our good friend, John Whitehead, aka BloodRedTiger, aka Elaine House Escher, aka etc. etc. Hello, good day to you.
And you too.
We are on the 5th stream of the epic Sunnydale fanfiction, the Sunnydale Imp, the epic Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We've gotten through 15 chapters, so suggesting we've been doing 3+ chapters per session. So what does that come out to? If we're gonna do 77 chapters of this, 77, 25 streams or so. So
That's a decent amount of content.
yeah, 6 months or so. So yeah, we'll be wrapping this up around the end of the year, maybe. If we, not even taking into account any missed days for my oversleeping or other disasters or scheduling conflicts, etc. So we will keep at it. We will keep entertaining you all with more of John's writing and our reading. How are you doing this weekend, John?
Pretty good. Pretty warm. Also regretting drinking a big glass of fizzy lemonade before starting this. I'm trying to get all my burps out before we start. So that's fun.
Yeah, I've made that mistake before too. I will often hydrate with like a seltzer and then be like, oh, quick, need to mute.
Rick and Morty vibes.
Oh, man. Yeah, speaking of the overly warm weather and such, okay, a couple weeks back, I was kind of lamenting my situation on the social medias. The fact that the wife takes the car to work, and we do not have a second vehicle. We do have one, but it has been extremely unreliable as far as starting and remaining running, so it's not really safe to drive. And so I was like, kind of sucks that I'm stuck at home all the time, you know, mope. I wish I had a bicycle to just get around a little bit easier, but bikes are expensive. Alright, so you know, just general kind of social media whinging, right? And my older brother noticed this, and I guess just out of the whim and generosity of his heart, sent me an e-bike, like bought one for me, had it shipped to my house. He was like, yeah, I bought you a gift. It'll show up around the end of the month. I'm like, oh, okay. And then when it appears, it is this towering cardboard box with a picture of a bicycle on it. I'm like, was it a bike? Yeah. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It is a Cybervelo e-bike. It has the word Milady on the packaging, though I cannot find the word Milady on Cybervelo's website, so I don't know what that is supposed to mean. I would have thought that it was like a cute name for one of the models, but it's not even turning up, so shrug. The wife and I tried yesterday to assemble it and could not make heads or tails of the manual. It's like this, I guess it's a German manufacturing company that puts these things out, and the instructions were clearly either written by someone for whom English was not their primary proficient language, or poorly translated by somebody who didn't have good command of the English language. And the photos that were supposed to kind of guide you along were not much better help. We managed to get a couple steps in, and I was like trying to get the handlebars attached and could not. Yeah, it was disastrous. And then we were out there in the hot and humid. I'd gone through like a bottle and a half of Gatorade in an hour, just not even moving around much, just poking and prodding and shoving at this bike. Yeah, we eventually gave up. The plan is now to call a bike shop and be like, hey, can we pay you to put this bike together for us?
Okay, crucial thing. What color is it?
It is kind of a powder blue.
I'm seeing some black ones on the website with the red rims on the wheels, which
Oh, that would be sick.
very much is my thing.
Yeah, I bet. No, mine's the it's kind of a eggshell blue color, which I appreciate. I appreciate that it does have some color to it. When I first peeked into the box, all I saw was black. I was like, oh, okay, it's black. That's fine. No, can't go wrong with black, right? Model T style. But I was pleasantly surprised when we got it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's actually like the one of the colors of the trans flag. I'll take it. But yeah, so I look forward to getting that together somehow in the next couple of days and giving it a try. But man, what an adventure.
That's cool.
And meanwhile, you've been Warhammer 40K'ing, right?
Yeah, getting some painting done.
A battalion of tanks of different styles.
Yeah, I got millions and millions and millions of models. I've lost count of how many complete armies I own.
Holy cow. And yet, the one time that I've heard about you playing games with them, you weren't even in command of an army, you were just refereeing for somebody else playing, for another people, for folks facing off, right?
Oh yeah, perpetual GM vibe. I'm not good at the game.
Aw.
I'm not good at any games. I like them, but I'm not good at them.
You're not good at any games?
I'm gonna go, here's all my bods, just smush them together, roll the dice and see what happens.
Well, I guess, just built an army that's just meant to just throw themselves at the opposition.
Well, the armies are always a story as well.
Yeah?
Competitive Warhammer is like, you collect the bods and someone else has already worked out the best collection of stuff to get.
Sure.
No, I'm not doing that. So got to have a story and a name and a colour scheme and a plan. So you've got your basic human defence force army. I've got 3 of those that are all set up differently. So I've got your basic Imperial Guard types. Actually, no, I've got 4. I've got Imperial Guard in blue and grey. I've got my Chaos guys in orange and black, who are filthy.
Halloween pumpkin army.
I've got the Dragon Cult,
Yeah.
who have a lot of conscripts, who will just look absolutely terrified, like, why are we here? Which is hilarious. And my new army are the Crimson Wave, who are vampire worshippers.
Oh.
And they've got cavalry and ogres and all kinds of silly things.
So are
and
they
also sort of French Napoleonic style uniforms? Because why not?
So are the vampire worshippers actually led by a vampire, or do the vampires not make an appearance?
I haven't decided.
Okay. Yeah, I never actually played any of the Warhammer, like actual war games. Back when my siblings, my brothers, were playing or painting some of those armies, I was like, ooh, the Tyranids look cool, but I never actually bought any. the only war games I played was mostly BattleTech back in the day. Like the
I dropped Warhammer about 20 years ago and looked at picking it up again, but the rules are so changed. It's unrecognizable nonsense and nothing makes any sense. Then I saw a video for a game called One Page Rules, which used to be called One Page 40k.
Ah, right. Okay. So
and it's like, oh, this is how it used to be in the good old days.
That's right. So it's a fan-created rule set that is a simplified game that you can play using the 40k armies.
Yeah, but you can also bring in, Star Wars stormtroopers and one of the demo battles that this guy did is called Wylock's Armory, I think. And one of the battles was World War II Germans versus orcs or something like that.
Fantastic. My older brother
Human Defense Force are just guys with guns and a tank. A tank's a tank, and it doesn't matter what kind of tank it is. It's a tank with a gun. And a gun go boom, dice go clackety-clack, all good.
My older brother was working on something similar to that kind of project where it's like the idea of making a game that can just use whatever miniatures that you have on hand and kind of throw them onto the field and pit them against one another. Fun.
The fantasy game and the sci-fi game use the same rules. So, there's no reason you couldn't have a bunch of guys on horseback with bows and arrows. And, yeah, that's the same as cavalry guys carrying assault rifles. And what the game calls an assault rifle could be anything. It could be, an AK-47. It could be a laser gun. It could be a bolt gun. It's effectively the same.
Okay. And now, is it sort of Final Fantasy-esque in that it's like, well, a guy with a sword can attack a tank and do damage to it, or is there some kind of like tech level armor scaling kind of thing?
There's always a chance of success. There's always a chance of failure.
Okay.
if you roll a 6, you have succeeded.
Okay.
To kick the tank with your bare feet and do something, and then when it rolls on defense, there's always a chance of failure. A 1 is always a failure. So, yeah, you can hit it, and it can fail to defend. So you could, theoretically, your goblin could chew its way through your tank over time.
Gotcha. Just need to throw enough of them against it. Right, okay.
There's always a chance.
Okay.
It's not super swingy, but there's always a chance.
I'll have to... One of these days I'll have to get you on webcam and you can demo it for me. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'll manage that someday.
In the meantime, though, we should probably get back to Sunnydale.
Oh, Mickey's scheme is waiting.
Right, we are on Chapter 16, titled simply Power. And the chapter titles are all quotes by one character or another during the course of the scene, so somebody is going to be going on about power. The story so far, our titular imp, Mickey, has mysteriously dimension hopped into the Buffy the Vampire Slayer universe and been recruited by the gang to hang out and fight monsters. She has dispatched at least one demon and assisted in the slaying of at least one vampire. Who knows what other trouble she has gotten up to behind the scenes. The principal villain at the moment is a vampire named Keats, who is some kind of middle tier bad guy in the hierarchy of the Anointed, the primary villain of the current Buffy season. I think between in the sort of banter in the comments, people placed it early in season 2 or something like that, because we've killed off the Master, we've got the Anointed doing the Anointed's thing, but we're not too deep into it there. What? Yeah, okay, what is... We're leading up to a scheme. What was... Yeah, because Miki wanted to establish herself as a superhero in this own universe, or vigilante, make some money somehow by basically shaking down thugs for their ill-gotten gains and using that to build up her base. her little imp cave under the football field or something. Yeah, what other...
No,
Yeah,
this idea is far worse than that.
Oh, okay, well, that is the scheme that we've heard of thus far. She's leading up to something else. Got it. Okay. Other details that you feel like we should remind the audience of before we dive into it?
Mickey can absorb ambient magic, which at the moment she mostly converts into brute strength, so that she can punch people into orbit.
And that is part of what has, if not led her to Sunnydale in the first place, at least encouraged her to stick around, because the Hellmouth is kind of always emanating evil mana that she can slurp up and continue punching. She temporarily exhausted herself for a little while, but had a good night's rest and is recovering her juice. Okay. Sheridan confronted her sire in his makeshift lair, an abandoned antechamber in the tunnels beneath Sunnydale Mall. He was often sluggish and lethargic during the day, which made it the best time to present him with information he might not like. The girl is a demon. There's no question. I saw a video recording and she had wings, a tail, even little horns. He barely stirred.
What kind of demon is that?
Sheridan rolled her eyes. I don't know. You're the brains. I'm just the beauty, remember? Keats nodded.
And our brawn, poor Mark, is gone to dust.
Are we going to replace him? We need numbers if we are to thrive here. The elder vampire waved an impatient hand.
I will attend to it when darkness falls.
And the demon?
If she is a creature of darkness, then she must share some of our weaknesses. We shall use those weaknesses against the Slayer.
Sheridan blinked. Against the Slayer?
They are allies. We shall lure them both into battle and strike down the demon. When the Slayer goes to her aid, that is when I shall strike.
While she's distracted, you mean? Keats was old and theoretically wise, but Sheridan suspected his longevity was mostly due to caution and cowardice. What if she doesn't know the girl is a demon?
Then her shock at the betrayal will serve us as a distraction all the same. The outcome is in our favor either way.
Not a bad plan. Apart from the lack of an actual plan, how do you intend to strike down the demon girl? Again he flicked a hand at her.
Leave that to me. I shall think of something. In the meantime, we must find the girl.
The police have the security tape from the night of the robbery. If the girl is hiding among the mortal population, this could flush her out. Keats shook his head.
I suspect that video will never see the light of day.
What?
If she's passing for human, she may be hiding at the school. Go and check.
You want me to search the school in broad daylight Looking like this?
Ridiculous child. Break in tonight and check their records.
We don't know her name, or even the name she's using. I suppose if she started recently, I might be able to find a clue.
Do so. We must find this girl.
She's been stealing tents and equipment, but I don't think she'd be camping in the open.
No. She would have been found by now and torn apart. If she's a demon, her camp will be somewhere hidden. Underground, perhaps.
She could be in the chamber next door.
Find her.
Willow and Buffy watched with wide eyes as Giles dug out a $20 bill and handed it over.
You will spend this on food,
He commanded.
and healthy drinks. Do you have a can opener?
Yeah? Willow startled them all with a sudden yelp. Oh wow!
What? What is it?
The redhead began typing rapid commands into the computer on the table. Miss Calendar forgot to log out when she left. Giles groaned.
Really, I don't see why that calls for yelling. In a library, no less.
I could elevate my user account, lift the access restrictions, expand my whitelist. She looked like she was about to hyperventilate. Buffy sidled over and rubbed her shoulders. Easy there, nerd girl. Dumb it down a little for the rest of us. I can access everything. School records, the internet, everything. Even faculty files. Her hands flew over the keyboard in a blur, directories rolling down the screen. And if Ms. Calendar finds out? Willow paused, considering. She always says we should seize every opportunity to learn. She'd have to blame herself for leaving the account open. Buffy pulled a face. Oh, sure, so long as she remembers it that way. That's how it works. Your computer security is your own responsibility. If she left this open, I'd be a fool not to take advantage of it. She started typing, then stopped and shrunk away from the keyboard. Unless it's a test to see if I can be trusted. Buffy rolled her eyes. I don't think it's a test. And you're our big bad hacker. You absolutely can't be trusted. Do the thing. All those words you said. Mickey turned to Giles as Willow set to work. What's happening? She inquired.
I have no earthly clue.
He replied. Done, announced Willow, a heady tremble in her voice. I've created a new network administrator and left my normal school account as it was. Giles took off his glasses for a quick polish.
Excellent. I assume that's all terribly clever, so, good work, I suppose.
The school bell echoed outside, signaling the girls that their next class would be starting in 10 minutes. Buffy grabbed her satchel with one hand and Willow's elbow with the other. Come on, oh high priestess of the internet, the mundane world of social studies beckons. Let me just log out. Willow tapped some more commands into the machine, made a few clicks with the mouse, and then allowed herself to be dragged away. Oh, wait, what about Miki? All eyes turned to the imp, who gave them a smile. You go, I'll catch up. I want to talk to Giles. Okay. The girls left with Willow babbling excitedly about new possibilities as the door swung shut behind them. Giles eyed Makisha speculatively.
What's on your mind?
He asked. Power! Let's see. This is
This is Larry talking
Larry.
first.
Okay. Xander wanted to wave as Willow and Buffy filed into the classroom, but Larry Blaisdell was trying to get his attention instead. Hey, Harris.
Larry, hey.
He put on his least fake smile.
How's it going? Saw you dancing with Mickey last night.
The bigger boy's expression softened. You saw that? She's something else, huh?
I genuinely had no idea she could move like that.
I had no idea anybody could move like that. Her workout regime must be crazy intense. Xander nodded warily.
That would not surprise me in the least.
I was bragging a bit, Said I could pick her up with one hand. You know what she said?
Oh, do tell.
She said she wasn't impressed because she's tiny and weighs the same as 3 apples. He chuckled at the memory. Crazy kid. What's that even supposed to mean? Xander shook his head.
Not a clue.
Anyway, get this. Then she goes, you know what would be impressive? What if I lifted you with one hand? Xander cringed inwardly, and only partly at his impression of Mickey's voice.
She didn't.
No way, are you joking? We found some steelwork, though, under the staircase, and she showed me some one-handed pull-ups. Girl's full of surprises. You think she'll go for the cheer team?
I somehow doubt it.
Bummer. So, she hangs out with Summers and Rosenberg?
She's friends with Willow, yeah.
He looked stricken. So, what's she into? She's not a nerd or anything, right? Xander chuckled.
Oh, no. She's definitely not that.
Larry's friend Josh leaned over from an adjacent table, sneering. Blazel's got the hots for your little friend, Harris. Will that freak you out or what? Larry scowled. Hey, back off, man. It's not like that. She's a lot of fun, but she's just a kid. Josh shrugged. That wouldn't stop me, man. There's grass on the field, play ball, Hang on. Push the buttons too fast again. Whatever, dude. He turned his attention back to Xander. So, how come she's never in class?
Oh, I think she's exploring the school while she decides what she's going to do.
Why is it not doing the thing? Okay. Larry smiled at the notion. Mickey's a free spirit. She'll do whatever the hell she wants. Meanwhile, in the library, Giles felt all the color drain from his face.
You want to do what?
Class ended, lunchtime began, and the kids of Sunnydale High filed into the canteen for lunch. Xander grabbed his food and wandered over to their usual table, where Buffy and Willow were... pressing the wrong button again. Already deep in quiet discussion.
Hey, guys.
He called out a greeting. Willow gave him a vague yet accusing look, and he hesitated for a moment before sitting.
Am I missing anything? No sign of Mickey today?
Buffy shrugged. Probably ditched class to go spend her $20.
$20? Okay, I've definitely missed something. What $20?
She's charging Giles for information. He blinked, then grinned.
Way to go, Mikisha. Giles can claim that back as a legitimate Watcher's Council expense, right? Info straight from the horse's mouth?
He met Willow's gaze and felt suddenly awkward. We know Mickey's living in a cave, she grumbled, and we know that you already knew. Xander grimaced.
It's a secret. She made me promise not to tell anybody.
Buffy studied him. So it's true. You've been there. He hung his head.
Yes. And yes. She kidnapped me to help make her home safe.
Huh?
She wants to decorate her place, make it into a real home so you-know-what can't enter.
Realization dawned over the pair. Oh, right, that makes more sense. Willow looked stricken. But her home might not be safe, and she'd never know. Imagine sleeping in a cave wondering whether vampires might come in any time. Buffy nodded agreement. We can test it for her. Angel? Xander shook his head.
Mickey's den is a secret. She won't want Angel sniffing around, test or not.
So we do it when she's out of the way.
But you guys don't know where her den is.
Buffy fixed him with a look. That's why you're going to tell us. They entered the library in mid-squabble and found Giles with his head in a book, scribbling copious notes into his notebook. Willow and Xander didn't notice the Watcher, busily scowling at each over Xander's refusal to give up the location of Mickey's secret den, but Buffy headed straight to the Englishman's side. Hey, Giles, you look down. What's the what? He looked up, somewhat distracted.
What?
Yep, what? As in, what is? Giles blinked twice and could almost feel the gears in his head protesting.
I'm sorry, Buffy. I don't have time for this right now. We may have a real crisis on our hands.
That got everybody's attention, and they formed up around the table. Buffy set her jaw, all business. Is it something we can slay?
Well, quite probably. It's your new friend Mikisha. It's your new fiend Mikisha, and I use the word advisedly. She has a rather ambitious plan, and I think we're going to have to stop her.
Buffy glanced to Xander and Willow, who shrugged. Okay, what's her plan? Giles muttered something under his breath, and Buffy raised a disbelieving eyebrow. She's going to seal the Hellmouth, she repeated. Can she do that? Xander blinked, then smiled.
Is that possible? Because that sounds like a great idea. Why didn't we think of that?
Giles rolled his eyes and repeated himself loud and clear.
I said she's planning to steal the Hellmouth.
The library was quiet for several beats, until Xander spoke for all of them.
Well, I take it back. That's a terrible idea.
How does one steal a Hellmouth? A demonic portal, font of evil energy. I would have thought it's more of like a geographic feature than a portable object.
Oh, Mickey's ambitious. If you tell her she can't drink a geyser, she will. Geyser? How do you pronounce that word?
Geyser. Geezer would be an old person. Unflatteringly titled.
I don't think she'd drink a geyser.
No, she's a devil, not a vampire. Okay. Chapter 17. It's for a project. Just as Buffy guessed, Mickey had indeed skipped out of school. Wire fences were no obstacle to her teleportation. She blinked right through it, popping to the far side of the street without anybody noticing. Another couple of jumps into shady spots down the street, and she was well out of sight. That done, she set off at a jog toward the nearest shops. Book Guy's shopping advice was good. Tinned food lasted longer than not tinned stuff. She had a small stash of snacks from the camping shops, but those were high-energy foods and only for emergencies. Jack had taught her that. High energy usually meant chemicals which would make her crazy. God, she wished he were here. Making all these decisions without Jack was hard. She was doing her best, but deep down she just didn't understand normal people. Give her a baddie she could smash, or a crime to foil, and she was happy. Jack had done his best to train her. Her best bet in her current situation was to establish a holding pattern and evaluate. She'd already screwed that up, though, and now she was tangled up with a bunch of people who didn't make any sense. She spotted a supermarket and wandered in, pausing to grab a basket at the door. Once inside, she stopped and took a breath. Think, she told herself. What would Jack do? He'd go and buy the stuff somehow, and it would be easy. No, what would Jack tell her to do? No browsing, he'd say. She always got distracted and wanted stuff she couldn't afford, and then she'd end up stealing it. Get what you want, and then get out. How could she find the stuff she wanted without browsing? She needed a map, or a guide. Perfect. She spotted a woman putting things on the shelves and hurried over. Excuse me, can you help me? The woman looked down at Miki. Sure, sweetie, what do you need? I'm looking for tinned food, and fruit, and healthy drinks. It's for a project. No problem, I'll show you where they are. She put down her stock and led Miki down the aisle to a bunch of shelves piled high with brightly colored tins. Awesome, thanks. She grabbed a few tins at random and studied the pictures. They all looked shiny and delicious, so she put them in her basket. She recognized some of the things and was able to spell out some of the writing. It was frustrating to work out long, horrible words and wibbly-wobbly letters, just to find out it wasn't even the name of a food. Why couldn't they put the name of the contents first instead of people's names and other stupid things? Oh, hello, Yuzu. Welcome to the chat. Oh, I didn't even see that. John, I didn't even see your comment from earlier. What would Jack do? But yes, it's Kali Stream. I've been doing these every Sunday morning, actually, for the last few weeks, working my way through this Buffy fanfic. It has been good fun, and I have been almost reliable about getting it done on schedule. How are you doing? I gather you were out and about yesterday on an adventure. Satisfied that she had some meals worth of food things, she went over and looked at the drink cartons. Orange juice was good and was clearly marked with pictures, but she hesitated. The one next to it was orange and something else. A pineapple, which didn't look like an apple and was way bigger than an orange. She narrowed her eyes, sensing a bargain. The one with more things in was obviously better. Did it cost more? The number labels looked the same. You adventured a little too hard and you're paying for it today, but that's what it's there for. Alright, yeah. Sunday, the traditional day of rest. Right. Another carton had pictures of many different fruits on it, most of which she didn't recognize. A super bargain. There were, she counted with her fingers, more than 5. Glancing around, she put the orange and pineapple in her basket, followed by the multi-fruits one. Well, for your context, Yuzu, as you're just dropping in, we are following the adventures of Miki the Imp, who has arrived in Sunnydale, the home of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and is currently shopping for food as some step in a plan to steal the Hellmouth? Question mark. Shopping with limited reading and number skills, yes. Yes. We shall see what comes of it. That done, she judged her basket to be about right, so she took it to the cash guy. She'd done shopping before and developed a few tricks to get around her lack of number skills. She leaned up and plonked the basket on the counter. Hi, she began. I've got this money, but I lost track of how much I've spent. Can you let me know when I've run out, and I'll go put the other stuff back? He glanced at the 20 in her hand and nodded. Okay, sure. He was fast at his job and beeped all her stuff before putting it into a bag. Okay, you've got about $5 left. Awesome! How many of the tins would I get with that? He fished out a brightly colored tin and beeped it. 2 of these. I'll be right back. And now we're on to Giles, I think.
Yes, that's right. An Abrahamic devil. Yes, I understand the ramifications for the Judeo-Christian faiths, but I'm more concerned about the fate of the world. Yes? Yes, I'll wait.
Giles rested the phone away from his ear for a moment and sat back in his chair. His old friend Thomas Sutcliffe had always been fascinated by the Navarro account, and his insight could be vital when it came to dealing with the junior Zaradai, Mikisha. Let's see, I have no idea who this character is supposed to be on the other end. Rupert?
I'm here.
You say this girl is a Zaradai, right? One of those imp things.
So she tells us. All the psychological signs are there, apart from her size. Sorry, physiological signs are there, apart from her size.
Right. How old is she? Rupert paused to consider.
Haven't the faintest notion, honestly. She looks to be mid-teens, high school age. It's impossible to tell with children these days.
Zaradai are physically mature at 4 years old, so she'd be a young adult. Typical lifespan is 8 years in most cases. Giles detected a hesitation.
And in the exceptions?
Sometimes a female becomes what they call a matriarch. These mommy imps can use magic, and they're sustained by magic in their environment, which makes them functionally immortal.
So, the illusion, and this power to manifest clothing at will?
Oh, that's something else entirely. The illusion of normalcy is useless in hell. That's reserved for those intending to visit the mortal realm.
I see.
It gets worse. The clothing thing. Well, normally you'd have shape-shifting as well, but even without that, it sounds like your mystery girl might be a succubus. Mickey carried her plastic bag around the corner and wandered into a dark alley, away from nosy strangers. I quick glance around. Uh-oh. One for your notes file. Confirmed that nobody was watching. She unzipped her backpack, manhandled the shopping inside, then zipped it back up and slung the bag over her shoulder. That done, she took another look around and pulled the small chocolate bar from her pocket. Giles had told her to spend the money wisely, but this didn't count, because she'd stolen it. She felt a little bad about that, but only a little. She probably would have paid for it, given the choice, but she'd already spent her money, and the chocolate was right there in front of her, and her jacket pockets had lots of room. It practically fell in by itself. She carefully picked at the wrapping and revealed one end of the bar. Jack said chocolate was only for special occasions because it was sugary and fattening, but she felt okay rebelling just a little. With a sly little grin, she bit the end off the bar and let it melt on her tongue. Delicious. And all the better because it was both forbidden and stolen. She glanced up and down the alleyway again, and this time something caught her eye. A flicker of movement in the really dark shadows where the alley turned left. There! It moved again, dashing out of sight, scrabbling on all fours faster than any human could run. Never one to let something escape, she teleported to the corner just as a metal grate scraped shut. She knew there were tunnels beneath the town, and whatever she'd seen was now down there, with the monsters and vampires. Monsters and vampires who ate kittens. She grimly rewrapped the chocolate and tucked it back into her jacket pocket, then looked for someplace to stash her bag. The alley itself wasn't particularly secure, so she blinked herself up to an adjacent rooftop and tucked it out of sight. She'd be back to collect it when she was done hunting. She popped back down to the alley and looked through the gaps in the sewer grate. Another blink and she was in the tunnels, listening to the echo and swoosh of running water and distant wind. She paused, listening hard, her hunter's senses picking out the rapid patter of receding footsteps. She bared her teeth in a snarl. Yeah, you better run, whatever you are. She switched outfits, trading her shirt and pants for a quilted leather suit with integrated armor. This was her fighting costume, black and blue, with slim armor plates on the hips and shoulders, and heavy bracers on her arms for extra punching power. A domino mask covered her eyes, and a cute beret gave her a semi-military look, in case she ran into police or other heroes. Still listening for movement, she set off to explore the tunnels. The hunt was on. Before long, the tunnels stopped looking man-made and turned something else. There wasn't much light, but Miki could see just fine. Plus, she was hot on the trail of something stinky. Her prey had picked up the pace as she closed in. It knew she was coming, and it was either running away or leading her into a trap. Either was fine. The magic aura down here was thick with evil, and Miki felt the tiniest tingle against her skin. It wasn't a lot, not like at the school, but she could use it. The echoes up ahead sounded different, like a dead end. She slowed to a walk as the tunnel curved upward and left. She stepped into a rounded chamber with dim green lights set into the ceiling. She quickly realized that the nearest two green lights weren't lights at all. They were eyes, set into the head of a spiky, blue-skinned creature. It flexed its clawed hands in a threatening gesture and let out a piercing shriek. Miki dropped back into a ready stance. She'd already fought one of these things outside her den, and while they were spiky and strong, it was nothing she couldn't handle. Two more lights blinked up above her, and the mud crumbled away, revealing another creature. It dropped to the ground and shook the residue from its thorny hide. That complicated things. Miki realized she might quickly be surrounded, or worse, if all the monsters in the ceiling decided to drop down at once. The two creatures began to move apart, circling around the room. They'd probably strike when she was right between them, which would be now. The demon screamed and lunged forward, claws slashing downward in murderous swipes. Miki wasn't there, because she wasn't stupid, and the screaming monsters crashed together in a tangle of limbs and spraying blood. She chose her target and stomped down as it rolled onto its back. Her boot heel caught it in the temple, crushing the skull. It's breaking the neck for good measure.
Jeez.
Okay. On-air proofreading. If in doubt, use overwhelming force. The other demon skittered back on all fours, then lunged at her, claws outstretched. An obvious move, totally predictable. Miki snagged the leading wrist in midair and slammed her palm into the elbow as it passed her by. The arm snapped like a twig. The monster screamed in pain as it flopped to the ground. Still gripping the creature by the wrist, she pivoted and kicked the thing in the stomach. It slid back against the wall, minus its arm, and writhed in agony. More of the dried mud stuff crumbled from the ceiling, and Miki flung her captured limb aside, a wicked glint in her eyes. "Come on then, you monsters," she muttered. "Come and play." When we left for the kitchen, we were buying juice, and back for this. Yep, Miki stashed her load of groceries on a rooftop and decided to hunt some demons. Rather successfully, it seems. Seems to have been pretty much a random encounter. By the way this is headed, we're just kind of back to business. Aw, yay. A tired but exuberant imp teleported back out to street level, grinning widely spattered with demonic gore and sporting a few scratches. She'd cleared out 3 nests of somethings, making the world a little bit safer for humans and kittens. Hands on her hips, she scanned her surroundings, and the triumphant grin faded. This was the wrong alley. Checking that she was unobserved, she dismissed her battlesuit and swapped back to her casual look, pristine and fresh and clean. Her illusion magic was good, but roaming the streets covered in monster bits was probably pushing her luck. She looked at the sky and scowled. The sun had moved quite a lot, which meant she'd been fighting for longer than she'd thought. Afternoon classes were probably finished, She'd missed the end of school, and she wouldn't be able to talk to her friends until she saw them tomorrow. Well, that wasn't entirely true. She knew where Mr. Giles lived, and there was a chance the others might go there. She hoped the old guy had calmed down a bit. That Hellmouth thing was a great source of power, and it seemed a huge waste to just leave it splurting all over everything, turning the whole place evil and attracting monsters like flies. A proper ritual of assimilation would suck up a big gulp of that power and give her magic a massive boost. More than she needed, honestly. But like the computer lady told Willow, if the power's there, go for it. She'd be back to full strength. She'd be able to fly again. She should go find her bag, then go and have a chat with Giles. Then again, there was a chance perhaps that Xander might visit her den for a chat and perhaps a snuggle. Decisions. She jogged to the street and looked up, searching for the rooftop where she'd stashed her backpack. Feeling like a heel, Xander led Buffy and Willow to Mickey's burrow. He tried leading them around the outside of the school grounds, but Buffy saw through that ruse straight away. What's with the scenic route? This just takes us back around in a big circle. He shrugged and she stared at him with an unreadable expression. Are you kidding me? Her secret lair is on school grounds, isn't it? That's wrong on so many levels. Willow tried to make light of it. At least now there's somebody who spends more time here than we do. As if that's a good thing. If she's decided to live here, it's so she can be close to the Hellmouth. God knows what she's up to. She prodded Xander's shoulder. Quit stalling. The sooner we get in there, the sooner we can leave. He looked really upset, and she relented a little. If she finds out, you can tell her I threatened you.
She doesn't know you're the Slayer, Buff. She'd think I'm a wuss, as well as a person who can't keep secrets. A wussy, non-secret keeping guy.
I'll be quick and discreet, I promise. Just lead the way and let's get this over with. What if she's in there? Asked Willow. She's not, answered Buffy. Slayer sense. Whatever she is, I can sense it. If she's nearby, I'll know. They stopped at a clump of trees on the far side of the athletics field. Buffy pushed through the trees and looked back at the school. She's been right on our doorstep the whole time. Xander tilted his head.
Well, technically we're on her doorstep, since our doorsteps are on our houses.
Buffy frowned and brandished the flashlight she'd borrowed from Giles. Will, keep a lookout. Me and Xander will take a look around. The burrow was small and twisty, forcing even Buffy to crouch a little to avoid getting mud in her hair. It soon opened out into a squarish chamber, though, and Buffy played her light over the sturdy supports. Found building supplies, and camping equipment, and more camping equipment. She moved into one of the side rooms, and Xander followed.
What is it we're looking for?
Clues, Buffy sighed. She really didn't know. Some sign she's evil, or up to no good, I guess.
You mean apart from the fact that she's a devil?
She ignored the barb and went to check out another room. Yeah, apart from that.
She's not evil, Buff. She's just a kid like us. Except, not.
She turned the light on him, and he squinted, shielding his eyes. I'm not going to find anything then, am I? We still need to look. It sucks and I don't like it, but if there's any chance that she's evil and we didn't check, that would suck even more. She ducked into another room. You guys really played house in here, huh? Pretty cozy.
I explained why. It's gotta count as a home.
You should get her a cross-stitch for the entrance. Whole sweet hole. Xander grimaced and she rolled her eyes. Okay, fine, I'm convinced. There's nothing here. Let's scoot. Back in daylight, Willow was hiding in the trees while trying to watch in all directions at once. Buffy tapped her shoulder and she yelped. What? Buffy! You shouldn't do that! Coast is clear? Aye, aye. They ducked out through the bushes back onto the street and headed for the school gate. So, what's the imp cave like? Actually, one of the more pleasant underground layers I've seen. It's like a pillow fort, turned up to 11. No evil tomes? No magic circles? No diabolical statues? Nah, no lakes of fire, no blood-streaked altar, no captives in chains. She shot Xander a wry glance. Or not today, anyway. The girls shared a laugh while Xander scowled. Seriously, though, I saw nothing that'd give anybody the Wiggins, except that there's a girl living alone in a cave in Sunnydale. Oh, and there's no clothes in there, not even shoes. Willow thought that made sense. I suppose she doesn't need any, because of her manifestation power. Xander raised a brow. He'd never seen any clothes around the den either.
You mean a power that lets her switch clothes? She must put them somewhere where she's not wearing them, though, right?
Buffy shook her head. She doesn't actually wear real clothes, then. Stuff she wears, it's made out of magic. He slowed to a stop, mind wandering.
She doesn't wear clothes?
Man after my own heart, I guess.
Technically, she does.
Yeah, I mean, just because they're conjured doesn't mean they're not clothes. Come on, people. Get with the program.
It's not all conjured. It does matter later.
Oh, okay. So, some of her clothes are made out of magic. Some are just stashed somewhere that Buffy didn't want to run across them. So, Yuzu, if you're still hanging out in the chat, have you actually seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or is this all brand new stuff to you? Alright, chapter 18 is So Like 8 at a Time. Buffy led Xander and Willow into the library, trying to ignore Xander's infectious misery. Willow was showing the effects of second-hand betrayal, and Buffy wondered if she'd managed to keep quiet about visiting Makisha's den when they next met. You've seen some, but it's been a long time. Just vibing. Oh, good. Just curious. She sorta doubted it. Willow wasn't good with those sorts of secrets. Giles emerged from this office as the group sat down around the reading table. He looked slightly more grim than when they'd left, and Buffy hoped her report would make things better. We're back from our perilous mission, and I can report that the Devil's Den is clean. Unless you're looking for stolen camping gear or building materials, in which case, she's your girl. She looked across the table. I think we knew that much already, to be honest. Giles didn't really react to the announcement one way or the other, and Buffy was a little nonplussed. Giles?
Oh, right. Well done.
She tried to make eye contact, but his mind was elsewhere. So, is this good news, or is there more that we don't know? He looked up.
The latter, I fear. New information suggests that our little Zaradai imp may well be something else entirely.
Xander raised a hand.
Is she a mutant? Because she's totally got a permit for that.
Giles looked over the tops of his glasses, fixing the boy with a stare.
She may in fact be a succubus.
Willow pulled a face. Makisha? Buffy pulled a different face. Sucky what? Giles scooped up a tome from this counter and dropped it onto the table. It was open, so Buffy leaned forward and read the passage aloud. A succubus is a female demon that takes the form of a woman in order to seduce men, usually through sexual activity. A succubus may take a form of a beautiful young girl, but closer inspection may reveal deformities upon their bodies, such as bird-like claws or serpentine tails. Willow was mortified. Makisha? Xander scooted round for a look at the book.
Oh, right, sure. The description could be our girl, but it could also be any other girl with, what was that, bird-like claws? I mean, that could be anyone.
His eyes fell on the illustration, and he gulped loudly.
That's a succubus.
Giles reached over and snatched the book away, snapping it shut with a thud.
Merely an artist's impression, I'm sure.
Buffy was skeptical. I'm not convinced. Mickey doesn't really seem like a lustful man-eater. Not at all, Willow agreed. Mickey's lust is for life.
Frankly, we have no way of knowing either way. She may be a moderately weak minor devil, or she may be a skilled manipulator playing us all for fools. I hesitate to advise the path of caution.
Buffy gave him a flat look. You mean kill her anyway, just to be sure?
As I say, an unpleasant course of action, and one I'd far sooner avoid.
We have alternatives? Is there a test for suckiness? Giles adjusted his glasses.
I hate to admit it, but we've been rather remiss as regards testing her claims. We're so accustomed to looking for hidden evil, I suppose, that when somebody comes straight out and says they're a devil, it seems natural to believe them. That said, some of the traditional tests would be a good starting place. The cross, holy water, that sort of thing.
Buffy shook her head. Thought of that. I've been wearing my big cross outside my sweater just out of curiosity. She doesn't even notice.
Did you try holy water?
He asked. Well, no. Burning people is no way to make friends, and she's already owned up to being a monster. Xander frowned.
Hey now, be nice.
Admittedly, just a little one. Buffy shrugged. I'm out of ideas. I'm pretty sure she's not actually capital E evil, but if she's lying to us, then she can't be trusted. Giles raised a brow.
Would you be prepared to slay her if such were the case?
Buffy grimaced. Well, no. Not unless I had to. But she's out of the club.
Quite.
He replied mildly.
My research suggests only one effective test. At the risk of his immortal soul, somebody would have to sleep with her.
The girls stared, but Xander tilted his head.
Aha! Gotcha! I was asleep in her den, and she didn't try any funny stuff.
Giles coughed.
Being tied to a chair in the same room isn't what I meant.
Xander squirmed, but quickly rallied.
She hasn't made a move on anybody. These sex demons are after men, right? She danced with Larry Bladell pretty much all night, then gave him a peck on the cheek and left.
He sat back in his chair, his point made.
They're friends is all. It's kinda weird.
Buffy grimaced. Bladell? God's gift to misogyny?
Oh, he's totally changed his tune. Really protective. Doesn't even like his buddies swearing when she's around.
Okay, Yuzu, thank you for joining us for a little while. I'll talk to you soon. Buffy looked to Willow. Mind control? Maybe she inspires boys to protect her instead of doing the nasty. Willow looked thoughtful. Maybe she's only a junior succubus, like a trainee. Is that a thing? Could a Zaradai try for promotion? Xander rolled his eyes.
You know who'd have the answer to that? Mickey.
Glad to be home, Mickey lit some candles, unzipped her backpack, and set about shelving her foodstuffs. Life wasn't so bad. She selected a tin of fruit and punched a hole in the top with her thumbnail. It smelled nice, so she grabbed a plastic bowl and tore the lid open some more so she could pour out the contents. The sweet-smelling chunks were some kind of orangey yellow fruit, tangy and delicious. She scoffed a lot, then drank the juice. That done, she hummed to herself as she took the bowl to her little sink and washed it clean, using a bottle of water and some squirty soap. She dried it with her perfectly normal little towel and then put the bowl back in its proper place. She gave a nod of satisfaction. Little domestic rituals like this would help cement her den as a real home, keeping vampires at bay. And now, since she had missed half a day of classes, she should probably do something schoolish. It felt important that she at least give normal life a try, now that she decided to blend in a little. She took out her schoolbook and sat at her table. She mused for a while, deciding what to do. She couldn't do sums, and some of the other stuff was just weird. She didn't fancy doing any drawing. She went back to her bag and removed the paper and pens she'd borrowed that morning. She put them all neatly into a plastic box and put the box in her treasure room. She didn't have a lot of stuff, so she figured anything important should be counted as treasure. She decided that she'd probably put her school stuff in there as well, later. Oh, hello, Rain. Late is no problem. Anytime we see you is good. Oh, should I take a sip? I will, hydrate and caffeinate. Yeah, I don't know if this actually counts as hydration. I'm never quite sure about that. If you're drinking coffee, it has a certain mild diuretic effect, right? So, do you even come out net moisture drinking coffee? Back at her little table, she frowned at the blank pages. The only subject she really understood was the history. It was all in the name. His story. Everybody had a story. Heck, Mickey knew tons of stories. In fact, she'd been in a bunch of adventures which were better than stories, because she was in them. She should totally write a story. An adventure story. A real one. A history one. Then she could show it to Willow and Xander, and they'd have a better idea about how awesome she was. Maybe she could sell it to Giles, and he could put it in his library of creepy books. She'd better make her story a creepy one. Then it'd be worth a fortune. That evening, Joyce watched her daughter carefully across the dinner table. Buffy had something on her mind, but Joyce knew better than to simply ask. Hopefully, Buffy would work through it in her own way, which at the moment involved sliding her cutlery around an empty plate. After a minute, Joyce stood up and reached across the table. If you're quite done eating, dear? Huh? Oh, yeah. The girl took a breath, and Joyce raised a brow. Here it comes, she thought. Mom, would it be okay to invite a school friend to stay the night? Maybe a few nights? Joyce straightened up, a little surprised. Is it Willow? No. Well, do I know this friend? What's she like? Is a girl, I hope. Buffy rolled her eyes. Yeah, it's a girl. Makisha. You don't know her, she's new. An exchange student from Europe. That didn't sound unreasonable, but Buffy was being evasive, hiding something. Joyce sat down slowly to give herself time to think. We do have a spare room. It'd need clearing out. She frowned. I'd also have to meet this girl first. I'm not sure I want a complete stranger sleeping in our house. I could invite her around sometime first? Okay. The request still seemed odd, and Buffy hadn't provided any details to smooth it over. Buffy, is something going on with this girl? Is she in trouble at home? Buffy sighed. We don't really know what's going on. That's what we're trying to work out, but if it turns out to be something bad, I'd like to be able to make the offer, you know? Get her out of that hole for a few days. Joyce's eyebrows shot up. Hole? Figure of speech. Right. Well, I'm doing beef casserole tomorrow, so if you want to invite her for a wholesome meal, she'd be very welcome. Buffy groaned, and Joyce scooped up the plates, grinning. Yeah, Rain, the main plot points you missed are that Mickey is planning to siphon the Hellmouth for extra bonus super magic power, and this has Giles quite distressed, and she's been doing some supermarket shopping and demon slaying. I think that's most of it. What were you starting to say, John?
All cheesy jokes are deliberate.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's gotta be, I mean, it is a riff on the style of a Whedon screenplay. You've always gotta have wit, including groaners. Upstairs, Buffy schlepped into her room and flopped onto the bed. A little past sundown, it would soon be getting dark outside, and vampires would be up and about hunting for prey. And Mickey would be tucked up in her little hole, hoping the vampires wouldn't find her. Sure, she could handle herself in a fight, but she still had to sleep, and Buffy was certain her little nest of survival blankets wouldn't offer much protection. Even worse, from Buffy's viewpoint, was that Mickey's attempt to turn her den into a home wouldn't make any difference, because she was pretty sure the no-entry rule didn't work if the homeowner wasn't human. Vampires and demons could attack each other's homes at will. She was sure Giles had recognized the flaw in the plan, but neither of them had the heart to say anything. The idea left a sour taste in her mouth. Sorry, kid, the vampires can get you anytime because you're not human. It seemed so unfair. Even Giles was keeping a professional detachment from little she-devil, pessimistically predicting the worst. Their track record made one thing clear. Mickey was almost certainly evil, or about to turn evil, or was an innocent pawn serving a really big evil, and sooner or later she and the Slayer were going to have to fight. Buffy hated the idea. Vampires were demons, even when they wore the faces of her friends, but Mickey was something else. Giles was all hung up on what kind of demon or devil she was, but it didn't matter. She was just a crazy, funny little kid. There had to be some way to test her for evil influences. There had to be some way to know for sure. Her thoughts were disturbed by a tapping on the window pane. She rolled over and scrambled over to open the window, where Angel waited outside, crouched on the porch. Angel? Buffy. You're a bit early. I was going to do a patrol later on. Hanok demons, he replied, skipping straight to the point in his usual cryptic manner. Are what? Dead. They were called into town by the Master months ago, but whatever he planned for them never happened. They've been in hiding since then. And? Now they're dead? This is bad? I mean, any friend of the Master is, well, not somebody I'm gonna miss. There's been a lot of talk. Something marched right into the Hanok nests and tore them apart, hand to hand. I've heard that the Anointed One had some big plans for those demons. Good thing they're gone, then. Buffy squeezed her eyes shut. Would this have happened sometime this afternoon? I think so, yeah. You know what did this? Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure this was Mickey on a rampage. Angel blinked. Your new friend? The midget demon girl? Yeah. She was fixing to go slaughtering this afternoon, but we talked her out of it. At least I thought we had. She replayed the incident in her head and realized Ms. Calendar had distracted the whole group, not just Makisha. Once they'd returned to classes, Mickey had gone straight back into action. Buffy sighed. We thought she'd snuck out of class to buy groceries. But instead, she's tracked down and killed 3 nests of demons? Sounds like. How many are we talking? A couple of dozen. Wow. So like 8 at a time? At close quarters? That's a lot of demons, and I'm guessing they're not pushovers. Angel shrugged. They're pretty standard shock troops. Claws, teeth, spikes, but no tougher than a vampire, really. Buffy turned that over for a moment. Okay, give me 5 minutes. I need you to meet somebody. Whew, okay, we are tearing through them today. How are you doing on time, John?
I'm good for another hour and 20 minutes.
Okay. I am going to take a short break and probably find myself a beverage that's gentler on the voice than the coffee. So, you and I and chat, let's all take 5. I will be back after this break for some copyright-free musics.
and daring ways of shading and understatement are harbingers of a deep-seated love for something. I know not the name of this thing, only of its existence. Question why I waste my time when my melodies are weak and strain against themselves. As angular and lurking rhythms sprout in thickets, but here is hope. Invertebrates rule the biomass through chemical communication. Surreal manner congests the land, strange and ominous. These slim talents are a byproduct of aging disgracefully. Bombast and overkill are my hallmarks. Will you kill for peace? Know this. The sweetest kind of rest can be found in pain.
All right. Well, that was quite a break. I ended up doing all sorts of little maintenance activities, turning over a load of laundry, taking the dog outside, visiting the restroom, as well as, fetching my bottle of hydration. So, that's why the slightly more extended break, but hopefully that means that I am now clear for just reading and rocking and rolling all the way to the end of the session. See if we can get one or two more chapters through.
This is a fairly short one.
Okay. Oh, yes, Skadoosh. We were looking through the titles last time. Yeah.
That's the noise vampires make when they go poof, right?
Oh, sure.
We just have a rare case of Mickey lying in this one.
Oh, okay. Not something she's prone to, but she does when she has to.
She's not good.
she's a little bit too wears her heart on the sleeve kind of person for being evasive or deceptive, huh? Okay. Oh, some fairly graphic violence up ahead. So, here's where that content warning's kicking in, everybody.
As if stamping on demons' skulls and breaking their arms like twigs does not count.
Alright, well, you know. Alright. Sheridan Carter found the school's front doors unlocked and walked right in. Public buildings, like stores, enjoyed no particular protection from her kind, though it had been a few decades since she'd walked down a school corridor, adoring boys in tow. The boys on this occasion, however, were vampires, stupid, newly raised kids she'd hired with the promise of mayhem, and the hint of something personal should they prove worthy. Hopefully a meeting with her sire would straighten them out. A single glare from the master vampire would quell their childish impulses. Admin office? She purred, and the two former teens took the lead. The pair broke into a jog, and she regretfully accelerated to keep up. The office was locked, of course, but a swift kick saw to that. The first thug flicked on the light, and Sheridan rolled her eyes. Trust a newborn to forget his new senses. No matter. The pair surveyed the room for a moment, then set about trashing the place. Wait, stop, damn you! Moving fast, she bowled the nearest newborn to the ground. I need information first, you fools. You feel like playing some random vampires?
You never said.
Accused the other. Why would I enlist your help simply to demolish an office? Think. The pair exchanged mulish looks.
So what do you need us for?
Look in the files. Find me anything about new students. Female. They grudgingly started pulling files from the cabinets, leaving her to activate a computer. After an interminable delay, the screen turned blue and demanded a password. Frowning, she searched the desk for any telltale scraps of paper and tried a few words and numbers at random. The computer lost patience with her efforts and blinked up a message that her intrusion had been logged and the machine was now locked. It politely suggested she contact the IT support team for assistance. Frustrated, she crunched the keyboard in her hands and smashed the monitor off the back of the table. Stupid machine. She stood and whirled to face her two assistants, who watched her warily. What?
Are you done? Are we okay to trash stuff now?
No, I need that information. What have you found?
Nothing? How are we supposed to know which of these kids are new?
She frowned. Doesn't it say in the files?
Well, there's an enrollment date, but there's hundreds of files here. This'll take all night.
You can ignore the males. That's hundreds less. The other youth held up a hand like he was in a schoolroom.
Maybe try the principal's office?
Sheridan bit her lip. I will check in there. You two keep searching the files.
Sure, whatever.
Mickey's adventure history story was complete, and it was totally awesome. She read it through again quickly to be sure she'd got everything in, then closed the book and tucked it away in her school bag. Willow and Xander were going to be blown away when they read it, and then she'd get them to tell Giles how awesome it was, so he'd want to pay money for it, and then he'd realize how awesome she was, and he'd stop worrying about her stealing power from the thing under the ground that would make her even more awesome. She'd been soaking up dark magic since she arrived on this crazy monster-infested world, and it hadn't caused her any problems. But so far, she was only low-key awesome. Nothing like the power she'd wielded back on Verity's world. But then, being the best friend of a creator goddess came with certain advantages. Maybe she should wander over nearer to the badness and try a magic circle. She didn't need to get right next to the thing, whatever it was, but closer would be better. She could probably even make the magic circle right here in her den, but that seemed risky. She didn't want to pull in too much badness in case it ruined the homey aura she'd worked so hard to cultivate. Unsure what to do, she helped herself to a drink of fruity stuff and roamed outside to look at the stars. They were so sparkly, and she wished she knew their names. Maybe they could teach her that at school. With that in mind, she glanced over and noticed that some of the school lights were on. Did the teachers work late? It could be cleaners, perhaps. She grinned. She could sneak in and make her magic circle in some quiet corner, drain a little bit of magic as a test run, and then clean it up before anybody noticed. She quickly zipped back inside and grabbed some markers, then switched her clothes to an all-black outfit optimized for sneaking. She stifled an urge to chuckle and teleported across the playing field in a series of short hops. She found the front doors wide open, which was probably odd, but not important. Maybe they aired the place out every night. She darted inside and skipped lightly across the foyer, listening for signs of activity. She heard noises, crunches and bangs, and immediately set off to see who else was in the building. The imp moved silently like she'd been taught, padding a few steps, then teleporting a little way down the corridor. The noisy noises were coming from the admin office, and it sounded like somebody was trashing the place. Villains! Vandals! Thieves! Well, she'd soon put a stop to that. She ran at the office door and kicked it. The door smashed open with a loud crash, and Mickey took stock of the scene within. Two young guys, both very obviously vampires, seemingly intent on destroying a filing cabinet by smashing it with chairs. Pretty stupid, but hey, maybe they had some money. Mickey smirked to herself as the pair whirled to face the doorway, one still holding a chair aloft as a weapon. Fight time. Vampires don't die easy, she remembered, but you can still hurt them really badly by smashing them up like humans. With that in mind, Mickey teleported behind the chair wielder and kicked the side of his shin hard. Both legs went out from under him, and he dropped the chair on top of himself as he went down. Chuckling, she launched herself at the other undead youth. This one had a baggy leather jacket, and she decided on a whim that she wanted it. He raised his fist to defend himself, but she smacked his guard aside and gave him a swift 1-2, rapid punches to the side of his ribcage. She felt the bones crack with both blows, and he really wasn't ready for a jumping spin kick to the shoulder. He tried to roll with the impact, sprawling over a waste paper bin and scattering papers. Vampire number 1, Chair Guy, was back on his feet, roaring as he hurled his chair at Mickey. She was tempted to dodge, but seriously? A chair? She caught it instead and launched it straight back. Eyes wide, the vamp only had room to dodge to the left, and that's what he did, letting the chair crash harmlessly past him. He only took his eyes off her for an instant, but that was plenty. Mickey blinked into position and grabbed his leading arm, turning his fluid dodge into a bone-jarring flip. He arced through the air and smashed down onto a table, which broke apart under the impact. Having bought herself a bit more time, she zipped back to the guy in the jacket. He was just finding his feet when she appeared behind him and grabbed a handful of his hair. He yelped in pain, so she planted a knee in his back and dragged him over at an angle, slamming his head against a photocopier. He slumped, momentarily stunned, and Mickey took the opportunity to grab his jacket sleeve and spin him out of it. Then she blinked away to the far side of the room. Crouching atop a shelving unit in the corner, she watched the two vampires scramble to their feet. Jack would be furious at her. "Stop messing around," he'd tell her. "Make the kill, then move." All of her other mentors would say the same thing, but she didn't honestly feel like she was in any danger. For all their supernatural abilities, these vampires still fought like baseline humans, and that meant they were just fodder. Case in point, her victim, instead of using his enhanced senses to track her down, was cursing at his friend, complaining that she'd stolen his jacket.
My jacket, man. My stash was in there. What if she gives it to the cops?
Mickey chuckled, and both vampires turned her way, snarling. "You're scared of the police? You're vampires, stupid,"
Oh, yeah?
replied the now jacketless vampire.
What are you supposed to be, apart from outnumbered?
"I'm Mickey the Imp, and you're gonna lose more than your wallet." To illustrate her point, she flung herself at the whiner, using a blink teleport to close the gap faster than he could react and bowling him to the ground. She grabbed his wrist with her left hand and threw a flurry of punches with her right. Dark magic suffused her compact frame, giving her blows crushing power. She snapped his collarbone, shattered his shoulder, and smashed his cheekbone. His left eye burst in a welter of blood. He thrashed uselessly at her with his one good arm. A quick grab and twist rendered that limb useless, and then she dragged him downward to finish the job. She jammed her straightened fingers into the side of his neck, plunging through flesh and gristle to grab the bones within. Kneeling on his chest for leverage, she yanked out a handful of meat and vertebrae, effectively decapitating her foe. The undead creep let out a deathly shriek as his corpse exploded into ash, and Mickey almost didn't notice the scrape of wood on linoleum as the surviving vampire kicked a table at her. Off balance from kneeling on a disintegrating vampire, she barely had time to gasp before the table struck the side of her head, knocking her down, but conveniently providing her with an impromptu hiding place. She barked a guttural curse and shook her head clear. The vamp ran over and shattered the table to splinters with a massive overhand blow, but she was already clear, teleporting behind him and deftly snagging his wallet from the back pocket of his pants. She tucked it into the jacket pocket. She'd check the contents later. Even stupider than she'd imagined, the vampire stormed through the wrecked woodwork, kicking it aside in order to find her.
You go, you little bitch!
Irritated, she took a step forward, gripped the vampire's belt with both hands, then yanked his pants down around his knees. "Behind you, idiot!" The monster snarled and lashed around with a spinning punch that would have really hurt if she'd been a foot taller. Mickey smirked. "Well, a swing and a miss. My turn." Spreading her wings, she called up a big chunk of power and lunged forward with a thundering punch to the sternum. Ribs, lungs, heart, and a good portion of spine erupted backward in a shower of gore that vanished in midair as the corpse turned to ash. "Skadish!" crowed the imp, followed by a brief coughing fit. "Ah, gross! Vampire dust, not good for breathing." Satisfied that she'd saved the day, she dusted herself down and surveyed the damage. That was when she noticed Giles standing in the smashed doorway, holding a measuring stick before him like a sword. "It wasn't me!" protested the imp in outright defiance of the facts. "I was trying to stop them wrecking everything, but they escaped." She ended on a hopeful tone, but Giles could only stare, temporarily stunned by the violence he'd just witnessed. Makisha was dressed in a tight-fitting bodysuit of gray and black tiger stripes, and if her opponent's hadn't obligingly turned to ash on expiry, she'd have looked like a walking abattoir. As it was, he couldn't be sure if the streaks on her face were ash, blood, or both.
You tore those vampires apart like paper.
Oh, he saw that. She shrugged a bit shyly. "Well, baby vampires are still pretty much human, so yeah, they come apart easy." He grimaced a little at that.
We generally prefer to rely on a wooden stake.
Another shrug. "I just do whatever. I wasn't sure the neck thing would work, but it was worth a try. I saw it in a movie, I think. I had other things I could try if nothing else works." The Watcher wanted to berate the girl for her attitude, but he needed to befriend her in order to talk her around, and it also seemed a profoundly bad idea to make her angry. All the same, a little constructive criticism could save her life one day.
I think in future, perhaps try a less experimental method?
He ventured. "Experimental?" She rolled her eyes. "Most things die when you kick their lungs out through their back. That's like tried and tested."
Things meaning humans?
"Are you kidding? Everything kills humans." She rolled her eyes. "Bash on the head, dead. Snapped neck, dead. Lose some blood, dead. Shock, fire, electricity, water, cold, poison. You guys die easier than houseplants." Giles resisted the urge to shudder. She was all but admitting she'd killed humans and was utterly unrepentant about it.
Fortunately for us humans, most of our enemies lack your incredible strength.
I told you, the magic in the air here makes me stronger.
Yes, you did mention. Perhaps we should talk some more about that. In the library?
Okay, sure.
I'm not going to pay you, however.
That's okay. I'm gonna soak up a bunch more magic while I'm in there. They set off for the library, and Giles was forced to admire the girl's stealth. In spite of the ridiculously oversized jacket, she moved with a grace and silence that spoke of intense training. He'd have to ask her about that as well, once they got back to his library, where he could make notes. Keats was amused. The last time he'd seen Sheridan this unsettled was the night he claimed her for his own. The situation was a little different, granted, but he still found himself smiling, which appeared to increase her discomfort. They never stood a chance, she fretted. That devil kid teleports, flitting about like zap, zap, zap. She snapped her fingers for emphasis, using both hands to illustrate. And strong. Jesus! The punch she gave me outside the bronze was a mild slap. Her memories of that first encounter were hazy, but she'd figured she'd be ready for a rematch. Forewarned was forearmed, or so they said. Keats stifled a yawn.
Speaking of which, your wounds appear all but healed. Perhaps you should go out tonight and find a new brother. We will need numbers if we are to destroy this tiny behemoth.
You're not listening. We came here because the Hellmouth enhances us. She's here for the same reason. Only for her, it's far more effective.
That is valuable information. A shame you chose to run away instead of learning more.
I could have stuck around, but what part of torn apart like paper seems like fun to you? She screeched the last part, and Keats grinned even wider.
Darling child, calm yourself. The beast you fear so much has revealed her weakness, and we shall use it to destroy her. Do you not trust me? With one slip of the tongue, she's doomed herself. With one more, she might also have doomed the Slayer, if you'd but been there to bear witness.
He slid forward out of his chair, lurching upright with inhuman speed.
You fear this girl, this treacherous demon creature. Even this fear, this weak, loathsome fear, is a weapon we will use to our advantage.
Sheridan grit her teeth. How?
You will spread the word and unite the darkness against her. We will raise an army, and nothing, demon nor slayer, will stand in our way.
Sheridan eyed him coldly. Impressive words, but I missed the part where you explained how this would come about.
It's rather simple, really. The girl is a demon with all our strengths. Did you not think she might share some of our weaknesses?
He raised his hands, picturing the Slayer's neck in the grip of one, the demon girl's slender windpipe in the other.
And now she reveals the source of her power. Overconfident little fool.
He clenched his fists and snarled with anticipation. He could almost hear the snap. Okay. On to chapter 20. 1 point to me, I think. Angel tilted his head. You still think one girl did all this? Buffy stood amid a scene of carnage, hands on hips. You'd be surprised at the damage one girl can do, mister. She played her flashlight over the ground and pulled a face. The blue-skinned Hanok demons were so mangled she couldn't even guess how many corpses there were. And having eaten recently, she didn't want to look closely. 7, he said. I counted the hands. The heads are too badly damaged. She was pretty angry. It sounded like a weak explanation, and Buffy grimaced. But I don't know. Wait, boot prints. Look for the bath mat symbol. Angel blinked, then got the reference. He walked to the chamber entrance and quickly located a small bloody boot print.
Blueprint.
Here. Buffy brought her flashlight to bear, making the vampire squint. Sorry, she said. Gotta be sure, and yep, now I'm sure. That's our girl. Angel frowned at the print. What is that? A size 2? Probably no size at all. She just creates whatever clothes she wants, and they always fit perfectly. He looked into her eyes, picking up an edge in her voice. Are you jealous? Are you kidding? That's a genuine superpower. One that actually helps her, instead of forcing her to fight monsters every night. Of course I'm jealous. But she is still fighting monsters, he pointed out. Yeah. You say there's 2 more nests like this? These prints. Angel was studying the ground, frowning. They stop here, then reappear over there. Oh, yeah, that. She teleports. She teleports a few yards? She's a weird kid. Come on, I've seen enough. So, she's got horns, wings, and a tail, said Angel as they walked. But the horns are tiny nubs, and the wings don't actually work. Buffy nodded. Pretty much. Oh, and she's got an illusion that stops people noticing anything weird. So those things I mentioned, invisible, or not noticeable somehow. Now clear of the tunnels, they were taking a winding route through a couple of cemeteries on the way toward the school. Angel narrowed his eyes, thoughtful. Doesn't sound like any demon I ever heard of. She sounds more like the made-up devils the church used to go on about. Well, that's what she says she is, said Buffy, hence the horns, tail, and so on. Angel rolled his eyes. Does she have cloven hooves, too? No, at least I don't think so. Could be the boots are part of the disguise. It was Buffy's turn to pause and think. Oh, wait, Giles saw her swimming. I figure he'd have mentioned if she'd kept her boots on, or, had hooves. She swims? The idea of a demon swimming recreationally was just weird. Like a penguin. She spotted his raised eyebrow and laughed. She flaps her wings underwater for speed. Says she got the idea from nature shows on TV. Clever. He caught the Slayer's eye and tried to read her mood. You're worried that you're going to have to fight this kid. He turned to face her properly. You're worried that she's stronger than you. What? No. I mean... She trailed off. You think she's stronger than me? Her voice went small. She hadn't considered that angle. The vampire shrugged. Isn't she? Maybe. You could take on 8 Hanok at once. But would you? 3 times? Unarmed? Buffy could only stare. I was worried that I didn't want to fight her because she's a friend. They crossed a street in silence. Wouldn't be the first schoolmate you've had to fight. Or even the first friend. I know, it's just... When I slay something, it's because they're evil, and it's gotta be done. Mickey's not like that. Angel shrugged. Then it's not a problem. If she turns out to be evil, you'll do the right thing. You always do. I don't know if I can, she admitted quietly. It'll be hard. Might even break your heart afterward. But you're strong. They walked in silence for a while longer. Buffy grew more morose with each step, and Angel realized he wasn't the best at motivational speeches. So much for the pep talk, huh? He said, half joking, trying to lighten the mood. Why does everything in Sunnydale always turn bad? Hey, calm down. This is all hypothetical, remember? What to do if this Mickey turns bad. Buffy sniffed. I guess. But still, I'm sick of the Hellmouth corrupting everything. Maybe we should just let Mickey go ahead and drain the damn thing dry. Angel nodded out of habit before the words sunk in. What? Giles paced the library floor while Mickey the Imp sat quietly at the table, reading a children's book. She looked quite ridiculous in a man's leather jacket, but at least it was big enough to hide the wings folded neatly against her back. If she'd been wearing a large hat instead of some kind of ninja assassin suit, she might almost have passed for normal. What's this word? She asked, pointing at the book. Giles walked over and leaned in for a look.
Giraffe.
Oh, what's that mean?
It's an animal. Like a very tall horse. There's a picture there, you see?
She did, and laughed. That looks so silly. Did they bite?
No. They eat leaves. They're quite gentle and quite fragile.
Imagine if knights rode on giraffes. She mimed, swinging a sword down at the ground. I would smite thee, varlet, but alas, mine weapon doth not reach. She swung again. It reacheth not. Giles raised a brow.
Who taught you to speak like that?
Knights, he sighed.
Of course. Obvious, I suppose.
Hey, give me a sword. I'll teach you some cool moves. He looked her in the eye for a second, then decided to call her bluff. He went to the cage and unlocked his weapons cupboard.
A long sword?
Sure. She shrugged out of her purloined jacket and trotted over to the cage. You have weapons in the library? Is that normal? Can I borrow them? I have a card.
Not really. It's my personal collection.
He produced a plain but serviceable longsword and handed it to the girl, who took the weight easily and seemed not the least bit concerned by the size. She found some open space and looked around. Nice high ceilings in here. Good. Giles watched warily as she flexed the weapon in her hands, swung it around a few times to get a feel for it, then launched into a rapid series of strikes, blocks, and lunges. The girl's hanging guard looked particularly effective, given that there was so little of her to protect. He studied her form critically. The sword was perhaps a little clumsy in her small hands, but she was making do.
Do you prefer something shorter?
She reversed her grip and rested the blade point down. Ideally, yes, but Jack says sometimes you have to use what you can find.
This Jack fellow seems quite wise. Tell me, have you trained with any other weapons?
Oh, sure. A bit of everything, really. Well, all the smashy, slashy, stabby things. And I can throw stuff okay, too. I'm not very good with ranged weapons, although guns are okay if I can get close enough. She smiled and leaned over to impart a great secret. I'm awesome at getting close enough. Giles coughed into his hand. Of course, the range of a firearm was somewhat moot when the bearer can appear right beside you. The notes he'd made on the Navarro account suggested that the Zaradai's innate talent for mischief turned lethal quite easily. Assuming that's what she really was.
Would you like to see the rest of my collection?
He offered. Yeah. She teleported herself into the cage and peered up into the cabinet. Ooh, I used to have a stash like this, but I lost it all in the move. Giles opened the door behind her.
Move? Between worlds?
Yeah, no warning means no luggage. He blinked at that.
No warning? So you just woke up in a strange new world one day?
Pretty much, she pouted. It's getting to be a habit. At least last time we had something to do. I don't know why I'm here this time. That was intriguing. He'd definitely have to ask her more about that, but first he had a few experiments he wanted to try. He picked up a large wooden cross and handed it to the imp.
Could you put this over there for me?
She accepted the object and studied it. What is it? She asked.
A cross? Purely decorative.
Reminds me of a crucifix. Kinda. Except the guy's missing off it. She placed the cross in the cabinet as directed and picked up a short sword with a leaf-shaped blade. You know, they make crosses like that, but they put a naked guy on it like he's been nailed in place? It's kinda gross.
Yes, quite.
He made a mental note. Not affected by crosses. Mickey teleported back out through the cage and span the short sword in a tightly controlled set of arcs. Behold the curtain of blood defense, she announced.
Oh? That sounds rather graphic.
I learned it from a vampire blood queen. She said I had to defeat the defense before she'd teach me anything. Prove myself worthy, you know.
And you did?
If I hadn't, she'd have killed me. The girl grinned. She didn't know I could teleport. A trick no conventional sword-fighting technique would defend against.
Isn't that rather unsporting?
Mickey frowned. Fighting's not a sport, she huffed. That was the first lesson. If you're not prepared to cheat, you don't deserve to win. Giles pushed his glasses up.
Fair enough, I suppose.
He swished his own long sword a couple of times.
May I test this defensive curtain?
Sure thing. Mickey drew herself up tall, then popped up an inch or so higher as her boots reappeared, platform soles and all. Her ninja suit flashed away, replaced by a far more sinister black bodysuit, with red and gold armor and a yellow tabard displaying the Baphomet symbol in dark red. Gotta look the part, she explained. The Watcher raised a brow as the imp settled into her new outfit.
Are you ready?
She shook out her wings and held up a warning finger. Don't kill me!
On guard.
Rupert was sweating. He'd tried several probing attempts to get through the vampire-taught technique, all of which had been neatly deflected. Makisha had also neglected to mention that the curtain of blood was a counter-striking system, and the first time she knocked his weapon out of position, she immediately lunged and landed a stinging slap to his forearm with the flat of her blade. He was still somewhat embarrassed by the yelp he let out.
If I land a blow, you will of course teach me the curtain of blood technique.
He ventured, distracting her while he tried a combination of seemingly random attacks from a variety of angles. By attacking quickly, he prevented her seizing the initiative, but the little imp was annoyingly fast with that short blade. Finally, he spotted an opening and swung a looping strike at her shoulder, over the top of her guard. She swayed aside at the last instant, ducking forward under his swing to slash at his outstretched arms. Fortunately, he anticipated something like that, and managed to snatch his elbows out of danger. And then he kicked the inside of her knee, buckling the leg and forcing her to stumble. This left her wide open, and he released his two-handed grip long enough to give the girl a ringing backhand slap to the side of the head. Both combatants grunted with pain. Mickey gave him a good-natured scowl as he backed off a few steps to set down his sword and inspect his left hand. The thick leather glove was intact, and he quickly realized that she'd taken the blow on the point of a horn. They weren't long, and they didn't look sharp, but the small surface area had effectively turned his own attack against him. He clenched the fist grimly and returned her scowl with a deliberately casual smile.
Point to me, I think.
Yeah, but I've got more.
What was the score again?
1 to you, and I got... She screwed up her face, doing some adding up. More than some, but not quite as many as lots.
Shall we say quite a few?
Yeah, that sounds right. Bonus points, though, for fighting outside the box. She twirled her blade and dropped into a ready stance. Okay, now your training begins. All right. 20 chapters complete.
I think we stopped there.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, because running down to about 20 minutes, and next chapter is at least middling in length, if not on the longish.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, a little bit more.
But that's a good pace. 5 streams, 20 chapters, and everybody knows VTubers love round numbers. So, good spot to stop. Next time, Chapter 1, Bad Friend. Buffy brings Angel into the loop, but Mickey isn't thrilled to meet him, and trust takes a serious hit. Any comments that you'd like to tease the audience with before we break for the day?
Mickey is not keen to meet Angel because there's only one thing devils are really afraid of. Angels.
Cute.
Also, it looks like my avatar is holding a really large sword.
Oh yeah, that's kind of accidental but appropriate. I don't know, a little menacing perhaps. It's just like like, this story is very important to me. Screw this up and I'll run you through. Yeah, obviously, under normal circumstances, that's just hanging on the wall. And yeah, you can see one of the braces holding it up. Just the other one is behind you. Funny.
I got a bunch of typos to fix as well.
Well, all kinds of value delivered to you. I wonder... Well, I have a thought. I'll catch you about it offline, I think.
Okay.
Until next time, then, live with honor, and your heart is unassailable. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Let me go, there's no doubt. Gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me, now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly. Let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score. We've been here once before. So many words unspoken. You took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure. Explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind. Hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away, we won't see another day. We both know the score. We've been here once before. So many words unspoken. You took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure. You find me dancing on my own. No a new adventure.